Hi, I'm Demi Stevens, founder and CEO of You're the Book Press and editor-in-chief of Self Pub magazine, here in the studio today with author Marianne Hayes for a little bit of a person behind the book series. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here with you.
Now, your new book series is all about a little girl named Penelope, right?
Yes, it is.
What distinguishes Penelope from all of her other friends and family members?
Oh, well, sadly, when Penelope was born, she weighed 14 pounds. And so...
Painfully, not sadly, painfully.
Well, painfully for her mother, definitely, yes. And so very quickly, the family began to refer to her as being just plump. And her little brother from the very beginning was not really interested in having this little sister who wasn't so little.
Oh, is this based on anyone that you know or a situation that happened in real life?
Well, Penelope and I aren't the same at the very beginning. Actually, when I was born, I only weighed 5 pounds and 14 ounces.
Oh.
And the nurses in the hospital referred to me as Peanut.
They must have been worried about you at that weight.
And actually, until I was 5, I sort of looked like a child from an underdeveloped nation, a sort of stick figure in party dresses. And then something happened. I don't know if it was my grandmother's good Pennsylvania Dutch cooking, mashed potatoes, gravy, all that good stuff, or what, but all of a sudden I just blossomed and I became an overweight child. And so in the second book in the set, Just Plump Penelope is going to go to kindergarten. And she's going to go to kindergarten, you know, having continued to be very much overweight. And she's going to be encountering some not so pleasant adults who are not always tactful, and also some not so pleasant children. And we're going to begin to see how bullying has an impact on those of us who have a weight issue.
It's really touching that you're willing to share this story. So I thank you for that, because I know that we have viewers in our audience who may have faced or might still be facing the same kinds of issues. Mm-hmm. Do you have any advice for, you know, maybe how Penelope deals with this or how you move forward?
Well, I have to admit that although I've drawn from memories for some portions of the book, I'm in the process of getting in touch with a few pediatricians who specialize in this area to find out a little bit more about what's happening today, because my experience, of course, comes from the 50s. But bullying actually has gotten worse, not better, with the introduction of technology. And so I think we need to find a way to help children. I don't think you can necessarily put a young child on a diet and expect that to work. But I think we need to help them to find self-esteem in other areas of their life so that they can cope with the weight, because I think self-esteem and a weight problem many times go hand in hand.
For me, it's depression. I write a blog post, and one of them is about being happy makes me fat. Mm-hmm. Because when I'm happy, I just want to eat all the time. I know each of us have different comfort levels with our lifestyle. Is depression something that Penelope might be battling as well?
I'm not quite sure where Penelope's journey is going. I've gone to hear many authors talk about their writing process and heard them say, the character took me here. Mm-hmm. I know where she's going chronologically from kindergarten. We'll meet her again in 3rd grade, and then we'll meet her again in middle school, and then we'll meet her in high school. I am sure that somewhere along the way, there will be depression in the story. What I do know from my own personal experience is that there will be a lot of tears and a lot of pain and an inability to make others understand. I think obesity is sort of the last frontier where you're not expected to be politically correct anymore. No one thinks it's terrible to call someone fat or fatty or tubby. or as I was called because I happened to play the tuba in ninth grade, tubby tuba.
Tubby tuba.
Yes,
My son plays
yes.
the tuba, and he weighs about 6 pounds. So the tuba weighs more than him
Yes.
some days, I think.
Yeah.
And, I never gave it a moment's thought as to what children were going through. This issue of obesity in the schools, I love that you're drawing more attention to it, because are you finding that the average weight of students, I see it when I drop my son off, that students are heavier.
I retired 10 years ago from teaching high school English. I taught for 35 years. And
where did you teach at?
Brandywine Heights High School in Topton, Pennsylvania.
Big shout out to Brandywine.
Yes. And I'm still teaching for Alvernia University. I'm an adjunct instructor there. And I see a lot of students who are seriously overweight. I think more than before. I think part of it has to do with the fact that we're no longer as active. And too many of the things that young people are engaged in involve
We're sitting.
Yes. We have well-exercised thumbs. Yes.
But thumbs don't burn calories.
No, they
as
don't.
much.
No, they don't.
No. So where does Penelope's personal journey take us? There must be this shining light waiting for her.
Well, interestingly enough, my illustrator, who's Sue Oswald, and that's sort of an interesting piece because when I started teaching, Sue was in one of my 10th grade classes. So she was my student, and then she went off to college and came back as a fellow faculty member, as the art teacher.
Oh, that must be really rewarding.
And retired last year. And so I had this book lying around, and I said to her, would you like to illustrate a book? Would you like to do a book with me? And so she came on board. And then the graphics person was a young woman who both Sue and I taught. So it's sort of a strange team. But Sue's theory is that Penelope will graduate from high school at the end of the last book, and she will be the valedictorian of her class.
Yes.
Success.
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 Success. What a beautiful journey. In your own personal struggles, what are the hobbies and those highlights that keep you going?
Well, I love to read. I always say, unfortunately, I have a granddaughter, and we have a lot of this in common. We devour books. We don't read them. We eat books. I'm a knitter. I'm a crocheter. And so that's a good thing because it's really hard to eat a potato chip while you're knitting, and it doesn't make for very nice gifts.
True, all the crumbs.
Right. I love to travel, although I don't get to do as much of that as I can, and I'm very, very active in my church and serve on committees and things of that sort. So all of those things keep me occupied. I myself have been up and down the scale so often. At my highest weight, I weighed 265 pounds and wore a size 24 dress. And, at one point I lost 110 pounds, and I stayed there for a long time.
You feel control at that point.
Right. But then I went back to graduate school, and I was eating garbage.
All that stress has got to contribute.
Yes. So I try to keep myself engaged, involved, active, and it's not just about the obesity issue. I'm going to be 67 in October.
Congratulations.
And I want very, very much to keep all of this working.
Me too. So if any of our viewers today are sitting at home kind of feeling down about themselves, wondering how they can turn that around in the same way that you have with the creative outlet here, do you have any advice for them?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's really, really important to believe in something bigger than yourself. If I didn't do that, I think there are many places in my life where I would have gotten lost. But you also have to believe in yourself. Yes. And you have to search for those things that you're good at. Everybody is good at something. Everyone has a talent. God has given every single one of us ability. We just need to find it, and then we need to hone it. And I think thirdly, we need to use that ability to help others, to motivate others, and to as Pollyanna-ish as it might sound, to try to do our part to make this world a better place to live in.
Well, I think you've done that. I see that servant attitude of your third point there coming out through teaching and giving to the students, and seeing that pay back as your illustrator graduated and then came back to join the faculty, and then as your student became the graphic designer that she is. You're a shining model of that.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.